Hello everyone. Welcome to another Top 5 Records video. Another one in the series in which I'm talking about the discography of Pink Floyd. And we have arrived in the year 1973. And this year, 2023, we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Pink Floyd's 8th studio album. I'm talking, of course, about this one, The Dark Side of the Moon. Now, what is there to say about The Dark Side of the Moon? This was one of the first albums I listened to in full. I was about 14 years old and I started getting into music. I had listened to the full Night at the Opera by Queen, and then a teacher of mine noticed that I was interested in Pink Floyd, and he said, listen to The Dark Side of the Moon. And I said, which song? There's another song called Dark Side of the Moon. He said, no, dummy, listen to the full record, which I wasn't used to. I was raised in a family in which you listen to singles or hits. You would not listen to a full album. I mean, it was odd that I listened to a full Night at the Opera. But terrible thing, I downloaded The Dark Side of the Moon in a 1 MP3 file. And the first time I listened to it, I was going for a run. I was running through the woods, through a slight hillside in the dark. Now, listening to this album in the dark, in the woods, I mean, I can tell you, I've done a lot of drugs, but that experience beats any of the drug experiences. It's more trippy, it's more imaginative, and it is like you're going into a dark ride for the first time. But then it's about 40 minutes of being completely thrown out of your seat. It is one of the most mesmerizing moments in my life. Later on, I would listen to it constantly. I'd put it on holiday, driving through the mountains. And I was lucky enough that a year later, I got to see Roger Waters perform the full album, Dark Side of the Moon, live at the Lichtenvoorde Aero Rock Festival. It was a festival in the Netherlands. And while he played, a nice, almost full moon appeared above the field. Now, to explain the experience of listening to this album for the first time, it is almost impossible. Because if you're used to listening to an album, in a sense, or listening to common pop songs, and then you listen to this, and the first thing you hear is you get into soundscapes. I mean, you get into soundscapes. The first song, Speak to Me, is this slowly building of sound. There's a slow building of sound, and you hear samples, and then something rises, and you hear a bow, and then you get into one of the most brilliant sounds you could ever hear in your life. There's breathe, breathe, breathe in the air. And that is also, in listening to this in a full discography sense, new. There is an ease, there's a calmness, there is a chill on this song in the way of singing, in the way of playing, in the boop, 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 the bass. Everything has an incredible chill, which does not reference to anything like reggae or musical genres that play with a laid-back emotion. And I wouldn't even call it laid-back, because there's a haunting element in there. It is completely new. And then you get On the Run, which is amazing. And then Time. You're listening to this with headphones on, and then out of nowhere there are clocks. And they start to make a lot of noise. I mean, it's like, it's almost dangerous. It's like nightmarish the way these clocks get to develop. And then there's this song, ticking away the moments that make up a dull day. I love the lyrics. They are, you fret and waste the hours enough and way, kicking around a piece of ground in your hometown, waiting for someone or something to show you the way. I mean, tired of life. There's so much melody, but there's so much. These lyrics have so much to say. It is mesmerizing. It is so gorgeous. You're being thrown from one musical situation into the other, and then you get into The Great Gig in the Sky, which has this slowly developing organ or piano by Richard Wright, and you don't know where it's going, and then one of the most gorgeous voices just arises, but the voice seems to be in pain, and I immediately had a sense like, this has got to be about dying. I mean, but that's my interpretation. I mean, I remember the view I had. I remember looking across the fields when I heard it for the first time. I had no idea what was going on, but I was loving the hell out of it. And the beautiful thing is, it's all within the sound. When I put on a good pressing, I'm holding a Dutch pressing right now, which is a fairly good pressing, but I also have a British pressing, which I play more frequent, but it doesn't have the beautiful cover, so I chose this one. At least this is much more of a mintish Fiji cover. It is, the sound contains that. I mean, the good recording, the good quality, the good pressing of this album, and loads of pressings of this is pretty good. It contains that experience. And then you have, I mean, when you've had The Great Gig in the Sky, which is, okay, the best vocalise ever. The best vocalise. I put it up there together with the vocalise of Once Upon a Time in the West by Ennio Morricone, by the Ninth Gate vocalise by Volker Kilar. But I think this is the best. This is the best vocalise. It is incredible. And then you sigh. One, you get into Money. I didn't know Money was coming, but of course I recognized Money. Obviously everyone will recognize Money. And I was like, that's a hit song. And obviously it's a hit song. And the collection, the collage of sound is very impressive, though that song does not grab me as much right now, because a couple of years ago I was in a Pink Floyd tribute band. We had to play Money, and Money is terrible to play because of the it is a 7 beat. Money, but I mean, getting I'm a vocalist. I mean, wasn't doing such a good job right now, I know, but getting at the right spot for me was horrible. And later on, in another band, we had to do a wedding, and they also wanted Money, so I've been struggling with Money for loads of the time, so I can't be as emotional about that song right now. But after Money, you immediately get into Us and Them, which, I mean, one of the best songs ever, but it feels all like a whole. It just flows into one another. And after all, we're only ordinary men. And any color you like. Gorgeous. And this album ends off with one of the most epic moments in rock history. I mean, first you get to Brain Damage, which is this beautiful, intimate moment with Roger Waters. The lunatic is on the grass. And you have a sense of haunting lunacy. Waters is being haunted by the spirit of Syd Barrett, which we'll get into more about when I talk about Wish You Were Here. But this man is afraid of lunacy. And when I listen to Dark Side of the Moon and to its lyrics, I have the idea he thinks the lunatic might be inside of him, but he also blames society for provoking the lunatic. So that's a very beautiful tension. I mean, I think that is the tension of Dark Side of the Moon, of Wish You Were Here, and of The Wall. But there's a very interesting narrative in that, and a very personal narrative. And it's not a danger without being really dangerous, because he lost his main songwriter. They lost their main songwriter. And then when Brain Damage develops into Eclipse and the whole sound breaks open, and it is just incredible. I mean, when he did Eclipse during the Us and Them tour, it is something of one of the most mesmerizing experiences in my life. But even when you listen to the record, it is mesmerizing because there's so much going on in here. There's so much sound, there's so much purity, and it is an epic album. I mean, I love it, and this is among the great productions of humankind. Seriously, It is an awesome album. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below and I'll see you in my next video in which I'll be talking about Wish You Were Here. Bye.